Doha with the news-making headlines around the world. His Highness the Emir and his accompanying official delegation leaves Kuwait tomorrow for Qatar to attend the GCC summit. The Council of Ministers expresses hope and optimism that the Gulf Leaders Summit tomorrow will push forward the GCC march. A second night of protest against police killings in Missouri and New York turns violent again in Berkeley as some demonstrators threw rocks and bottles at officers. And Typhoon Hagupit weakens into a tropical storm after leaving 22 people dead and destroying more than 1,500 homes. In our first item, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received at Sif Palace this morning the Deputy Premier Minister of Defense Sheikh Khalid Al-Jarrah Al-Sabah along with the U.S. Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel and his accompanying delegation currently on an official visit to the country. The meeting was attended by the Deputy Minister of the Amiri Diwan Affairs Sheikh Ali Jarrah Al-Sabah. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, accompanied by an official delegation, leaves Kuwait tomorrow, Tuesday, the 9th of December, for the State of Qatar, where His Highness will chair Kuwait's delegation to the 35th session of the GCC Supreme Council, convening in the Qatari capital, Doha. The Gulf Cooperation Council Summit will open tomorrow in Doha amid a new conception for the relationship among the 6 member states, cementing relationships and focusing on key regional and international issues. Nadia Ali has more in this report.
The 35th upcoming Gulf Cooperation Council or GCC Summit, to be hosted by Qatar on December the 9th and 10th, will witness positive spirit of amity and reconciliation among the Gulf nations. The summit is seen as a turning point in the GCC march towards materializing its objectives and serving common interests of its states. For his part, the Gulf Cooperation Council Secretary General Dr. Abdulatif bin Rashid Al Zayani said that the Doha summit is taking place at a very important time and in extremely critical circumstances, which undoubtedly require more stability among the Gulf countries. Al-Zayani added that the unstable condition in some Arab countries and the worsening situation of refugees and the displaced in a number of Arab states and the growing regional interventions in Arab affairs will also come up for discussion. He also noted that the Gulf leaders would also consider a proposal to form a joint military command and a joint naval force to address the growing security challenges and fighting terrorism. At the national level, the summit will discuss laws on combating terrorism and to fight its financing, including a security strategy to combat extremism and terrorism. Whereas at the international level, the GCC summit will review the international conventions and legal instruments to shore up international efforts to combat terrorism. In other developments, the Committee of Senior GCC Officials reviewed topics on the agenda of the 35th GCC Summit, and the final drafted agenda is to be forwarded to their Highnesses during their summit tomorrow. The committee also focused on the achievements that have been accomplished at the level of the GCC joint action, besides addressing some of the obstacles that impede the implementation of some of the decisions. The committee meeting also tackled following up on the implementation of the railway linkage between the GCC countries, power grid and customs. And finally, the meeting deliberated with a revision on the strategic dialogue between the GCC and major international blocs, as well as the rapid political and security developments in the region.
National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanem inaugurated yesterday the first session of a series of debate seminars prepared for studying and reviewing Municipality Law No. 5 of 2005, organized by the National Assembly Committee on Public Utilities. The Speaker also chaired a joint meeting discussing the latest international oil prices plunge at the Parliament's office. Here is more on the two meetings in this report prepared by Salim Al-Kendari.
Speaker of the National Assembly, Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanem, in the opening of the first debate, which was attended by Minister of State for Municipal Affairs and Minister of Communications, Isa Ahmed Al-Kendari, and a host of former ministers and officials about the current municipality law, said that the overlap of powers between Kuwait municipality and other government bodies and the long duration of procedures constitute the main disadvantages of the present municipality law. Debates held by the Parliament on certain topics and bills support members of Parliament's efforts to reach remedies for some laws from a technical view. The Speaker added that as representatives of the nation, we have to be clear regarding essential topics like the municipality law and relevant topics. Al-Ghanem stressed that the solution has to be comprehensive and reaching to the roots, neither impoverished nor partial. He also stressed that collective action is essential to secure success. Based on this, the Assembly seeks the help of experts and efficiencies to produce a distinguished applicable law for the good of the country. For his part, Minister of State for Municipal Affairs and Minister of Communications, Isa Ahmed Al-Kendari, referred to a legislative and monitoring failure regarding the building law, noting that the Kuwait municipality will work on overcoming the loopholes exploited by violators who, for example, refer to court seeking a decision to restore electricity to their buildings. According to the minister, the law does not allow municipal authorities to hold violating building, but only to issue an infringement notice and cut off electricity supply. The minister once more stressed that the access to administrative and financial reforms of the municipality work is ending the power overlap with other official bodies. This can be achieved through a host of procedures such as relocate some of the municipality powers to other authorities. The second meeting was also chaired by the Speaker of the National Assembly and joined with Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Sabah, who affirmed the following.
The government ensures that the declines of the oil price have no negative impacts on the good living of all citizens. Be no panic over the financial situation. So far, so good. The strategies of the Finance Ministry are working on solutions for addressing the matter. The OPEC output is 30% of the world total, and Kuwait quota represent 8% of OPEC's.
Alongside with Sheikh Mohammed and Al-Ghanem, the joint meeting gathered Minister of Finance Anas Saleh and Minister of Oil and Minister of State for National Assembly Affairs Dr. Ali Al-Umair, as well as other senior government officials and lawmakers. From the National Assembly, this is Salim Al-Kendari reporting for the English News.
The Cabinet, which held its weekly session today under the chairmanship of His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Subah, the Prime Minister, was informed of the departure of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Subah Al-Ahmed Al-Jabir Al-Subah and his official accompanying delegation for Doha tomorrow to attend the summit conference of the GCC leaders. The Council expressed hope that the leaders would be able to push forward the GCC march and to fulfill the aspirations of its people. In a statement after the meeting, the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Al-Mbarak Al-Subah, said the Council was also briefed by the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister, Sheikh Subah Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Subah, about the outcome of his visit to Sudan to attend the second Forum of Arab-Russian Cooperation, in which ways of boosting relations and partnership between the Arab world and Russia were discussed. The participants also discussed the latest developments in the Middle East. The First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister also spoke about his visit to Somalia at the head of the Arab Ministerial Delegation for talks with the Somali President and other senior officials. The delegation, which also included the Foreign Minister of Mauritania and the Arab League Secretary General, expressed support to the efforts being made by the Somali authorities to restore peace and stability. The Cabinet was also briefed on the outcome of the recent visit to Kuwait by Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Mr. Yukiya Amono. The Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs added that the Council of Ministers approved a draft decree to promote 58 officers in the Army from the rank of Colonel to Brigadier. The Council of Ministers also approved several draft decrees regarding agreements with a number of other countries. Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Al-Mbarak Al-Subah concluded that the meeting also discussed the latest political developments on the Arab and international arena. After intense accusations against Israel regarding their killings of thousands of Gazans and the destruction of homes during the summer's war, an Israeli military investigation was opened only to justify most of these incidents. Hamas and local human rights organizations in Gaza decried the results of such investigations. More with Majlou Haidi from Gaza.
Hamas movement considers the Israeli criminal investigation biased, saying it's unreasonable and unacceptable to have a real criminal and a judge at the same time. Hamas' statement came after the Israeli military has issued a report of investigations of its own actions in different incidents during the war in the Gaza Strip.
We're talking about more than 2,000 people were killed and tens of thousands of injured people. So talking about 56 people to hold investigations about, this is actually not acceptable at all. We're asking for international committees and international courts to judge and look for this investigation in what happened in Gaza in the last invasion.
The Israeli report provided detailed justifications for military operations that raised complaints from international human rights groups. But the report said no wrongdoing had been found in strikes that killed civilians in hospitals, a clinic for the disabled, a United Nations office, and residential places. For human rights organizations here, the past experiences give no trust or accountability for such investigation.
We have past experiences during the last Israeli offensives. We witnessed many cases in which Israel destroyed the facts and closed their criminal accords. The latest Israeli report didn't surprise us because we know that Israel's main policy is simple. They equate the real culprit and criminalize the victims of Palestine.
In the last month, Israel banned the access of an inquiry commission to Gaza that came to investigate possible war crimes. Israeli criminal investigations leave little hope, especially for Gaza's war victims who are looking for fairness and justice. Majlou Haidi, Kuwait TV, Gaza.
The Syrian and Iranian foreign ministers today condemned Israeli airstrikes on two areas near Damascus, calling it an act of aggression that proves Israel was in the same trench with extremist groups fighting the Syrian government. Israeli warplanes bombed the two areas Sunday, striking near Damascus International Airport as well as outside the town close to the Lebanese border. The Syrian government said the attacks caused material damage. Israel has not confirmed the strikes, and it was not immediately clear what they targeted, although activists said they hit weapons depots. Appearing on Israel radio today, Intelligence Minister Yuval Steins would neither confirm nor deny the news, but offered a subtle hint, suggesting that Israel's defense policy is oriented towards safeguarding the country and, wherever possible, preventing the upgrading of weaponry that gives terrorist organizations sophisticated means of attack. Munsif al-Marzougi and Beji Sepsi will face off on December the 21st in Tunisia's second round of presidential voting to decide who leads the nation. The secureliest leader, Sepsi, has beaten the incumbent Marzougi in the first round of the country's landmark presidential election, but the two men did not gain enough votes to prevent a runoff. More than 3 years since longtime ruler Zain al-Abidin Ben Ali was ousted by a popular uprising, Tunisia has been able to adopt a new constitution and rival secularists and Islamist parties have largely avoided the turmoil that has plagued other Arab states swept by popular revolts. The Islamist Nahda party did not field or endorse a candidate in the presidential elections, but its supporters are believed to be backing El-Marzouki. EU Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini is in Turkey with other top EU officials to urge it to participate fully in the fight against Islamic State militants in Syria and stop the flow of foreign fighters across its borders. In a tweet from the capital Ankara, she said her agenda also included Turkey's EU accession bid. She will urge Turkey to back sanctions against Russia despite the warming relationship between Ankara and Moscow. In an interview, Mogherini said that while the crisis in Syria was not something that could be solved from Brussels, the EU still had a role to play, including the empowerment of more actors that might take the lead. A second night of protest against police killings of unarmed black men in Missouri and New York turned unruly in Oakland as some demonstrators smashed windows and set rubbish bins on fire. It began peacefully on the University of California, Berkeley campus, but as protesters marched through downtown Berkeley towards the neighboring city of Oakland, someone smashed the window of a Radio Shack shop. A police officer said when a protester tried to stop the vandalism, he was hit with a hammer. Some of the protesters made their way to a freeway in Oakland and blocked traffic. The California Highway Patrol said some tried to light a patrol vehicle on fire and threw rocks, bottles, and an explosive at officers. Highway Patrol officers responded with tear gas. The Highway Patrol said it was making arrests, but no figures were available. Typhoon Hagupit weakened into a tropical storm today after leaving 22 people dead and destroying more than 1,500 homes. The storm, known locally as Ruby, is expected to bring heavy rains as it passes close to the capital Manila, which has a population of more than 12 million. More than 1 million people fled to emergency shelters to safer ground before Hagupit, or smash in Filipino, made landfall in eastern Samar late Saturday. Today, officials said about 260,000 families were in evacuation centers. Philippine Red Cross Chairman Richard Gordon said 16 of those who died in Samar drowned in raging flood waters. A massive fire in downtown Los Angeles caused the closure of parts of 2 major freeways early today. Los Angeles Fire Department spokesman David Ortiz said more than 250 firefighters were battling the blaze. The fire came on a tall non-residential building. He said the 101 freeway was closed in both directions, while the California Highway Patrol said transition lanes between the 110 and 101 freeways were also shut down. The cause is not yet known, with no immediate reports of injuries. Kuwait continues to celebrate the 43rd National Day of the United Arab Emirates, this time with a poetry evening held at Kuwait National Library titled With Love to Emirates. The event was organized in collaboration with the National Council for Culture, Arts and Letters and Kuwait Arab Media Forum. Various Kuwaiti and Emirati poets joined in to express their love to the UAE. Here is more on the occasion in this report with Salim Al-Kendari.
On the occasion of the 43rd United Arab Emirates National Day, Kuwait celebrations continue for its neighbors in various ways, this time with a poetry event. UAE Ambassador to Kuwait His Excellency Rahma Al-Zaabi confirmed the depth of relations between UAE and Kuwait and links that brought them together and the rest of the Arab countries. On his part, Kuwait's Assistant Secretary General for Culture of the National Council for Culture, Arts and Letters, Dr. Badr Ad-Duwish, cherished the moment in such happy occasion.
On the occasion of 43rd United Arab Emirates National Day, we express our love for the United Arab Emirates and the people And on this occasion, we hope that the people of United Arab Emirates enjoy security and happiness, that we move from the one stage to the Gulf cooperation and Gulf unity stage, including linking the people of the Gulf of historical ties.
Various poets from both Kuwait and UAE joined in to express their love and share with the public new poems for this occasion. In celebration of United Arab Emirates National Day, this evening is a poetic evening where poets from United Arab Emirates and Kuwait are sharing their love and expressions in this occasion. From the Kuwait National Library, this is Salman Kandiri reporting for the English News.
And in our final item tonight, we move to the local financial news, where all main indices of Kuwait Stock Exchange ended today's trading on a negative note, with variance in the losses of each. The price index stood at almost 6.7, shedding 84.31 points. The KSX 15 index settled at the level of 1.09 with a loss of 7.94 points. The weight index closed at 449, losing 3.83 points. The number of trades altogether came to 3,115 transactions worth about 15.4 million Kuwaiti dinars, with around 126.5 million shares changing hands. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. Well, with that, we conclude our news bulletin. Thank you for joining us. Have a pleasant time. I'm Maham Tawa. Before we go, we remind you once again of our main top stories. Have a pleasant time and good night. His Highness the Emir and his accompanying official delegation leaves Kuwait tomorrow for Qatar to attend the GCC summit. The Council of Ministers expressed hope and optimism that the Gulf Leaders Summit tomorrow will push forward the GCC march. A second night of protest against police killings of Missouri and New York turns violent again in Berkeley as some demonstrators threw rocks and bottles at officers. And Typhoon Hagupit weakens into a tropical storm after leaving 22 people dead and destroying more than 1,500 homes.